What's up, Radiant Icons, and welcome back to Dare to Be Iconic, the podcast made for icons daring to be themselves. I'm your host, Amanda Policelli, and I cannot believe I'm about to say these words out loud like it's actually happening. But at the end of this week, I will be on my way to Spain. It's my first international trip, it's my first ever Grand Prix, and it's my first trip without my parents. So we're doing a lot of big girl things in the year of 25. But before I spill all the tea on my pre-Spain thoughts, I dare you guys to connect with me on socials. And if you haven't already, make sure to grab your copy of Break Up with the Past, Fall in Love with the Future, your 5-step guide in turning your pain into power. All that information can be found in the show notes below. So, I am going on my first ever international trip. I'm going to the Spanish Grand Prix. Those three things I never thought would actually come true. When I became a fan of the sport in August of 2023, I had just gotten laid off. So I had a lot of time to binge DTS, which for those who don't know, it's Drive to Survive on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. I solely blame DTS and F1 TikTok for the reason why I got into F1. And also probably the combination of getting laid off and having literally nothing to do but contemplate my whole entire life existence. But anywho, it's such a short amount of time to think that, oh my God, I'm actually doing all these really big things that scare me. And that goes back to stepping outside of your comfort zone, which I believe was a couple of episodes back. I'll link it in the show notes below if you haven't listened to that one. It's Say Goodbye to Your Comfort Zone. And it may be one of my favorite episodes so far because it's so prevalent to what is going on in my life right now, or at least in this year of 2024. 2024 is the year of trust. But I think with trust comes stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing the things that scare you and trusting yourself in the process. In order to do the things that scare you, in order to step outside of your comfort zone, deep down, you have to trust yourself and trust that everything is going to work out the way it needs to. Even if it doesn't seem like it at the time. And there have been so many things in this planning stage leading up to Spain that I thought were going to be smooth sailing. They have not been. Okay, I have been very, very, very stressed and anxious and excited and so many emotions. But I had to deep down trust the process and trust that everything is happening for a reason. And doing the things that scare you and stepping outside of your comfort zone are going to be very uncomfortable at times, and they're going to be very stressful, and they're going to be very anxiety inducing. But I think that's the whole point of growing up and evolving and trusting yourself, because trust isn't an easy process. So when I think of my journey to Spain, right, when I think of the journey to the Spanish Grand Prix, it all comes down to trusting the path that I put in place for myself to get to this moment right here. And I'm not gonna lie, this whole path to Spain has been a roller coaster ride. It has been the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, and the highest of highs have been some of the most magical moments and the most exciting moments of my career, and the lowest of lows have been some of the most stressful and anxiety inducing lows of my life. In my mind, I thought it was always going to be this rainbow of happiness. Everything was going to be so perfect. And that is just not true. When you are planning a trip of this magnitude and it's all your first, things are going to go wrong. Things are not going to go according to plan, and you're going to learn a lot just in that pre-preparation period to get to your destination. I think this also goes back to trusting the journey and not being so focused on the destination, because the journey and the figuring it out is the fun part. And I know we talked about this a little bit in trying to navigate your 20s, and I think this applies to the Spain trip. I was so focused on getting to Spain and making sure everything is right to have X, Y, and Z line up perfectly. And I wasn't enjoying the journey as much. I let the lows really affect me and overtake the excitement of this pre-Spain trip. Because for a while, in May, we were struggling. I was not excited to go anymore. I was at this point, maybe I just shouldn't go. Everything just wasn't turning out how I expected it. I guess I expected it to be so easy sailing, no stress, no anxiety. That is such a lie. That is honestly a bold-faced lie that I don't know why. When the hard shit hit me, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And it made me not be excited for this trip. And this trip should be something that I should enjoy because I worked so hard to get here. All the behind the scenes stuff that I can't talk about yet, but all that behind the scenes work that I put into it to make this trip be what it's going to be, like that's exciting. Like that figuring it out part is exciting. And I think I let the hard shit overcloud the exciting stuff at times. Maybe too much at times. But how do I feel now before this trip? Well, I still think of myself as just a 25-year-old girl figuring it out. And honestly, doing something like this by myself is really, truly testing me to my limits of doing the shit that scares me because, oh my God, I know I'm going to learn so much about myself, but this leading up to it is really, really scary. And I don't know if that feeling is going to like disappear once I like set foot in Madrid, because we're going to Madrid first. But man, am I really, really testing out the doing the things that scare you and stepping outside of your comfort zone. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this trip will be not having the security blanket of having my parents with me. And I saw this TikTok the other day of this girl saying that she doesn't like to go on girls' trips anymore because she's so used to going on vacations with her husband. And her husband, like when she's on these vacations, like is the one who's in charge. He does all the plans. He allows her to really just relax and like turn her brain off and she doesn't have to think. And I kind of can relate that to going on trips with my parents. Like I'm able to low key turn my brain off and not have to think and not have to worry about going to X, Y, and Z because I have the security blanket and the safety of my parents with me. But in this aspect for this trip, I won't have that. I think it's something that I need to do in order to learn more about myself and more about my limits and my boundaries and what I'm really capable of. And I think that's what I'm most excited about for this trip is the independence that I will gain from it on a different level than I have now. I think once I do this trip, I'm going to prove to myself that I can handle it and that I can do things of this magnitude by myself because that was always a thing that I was really, really scared of, especially coming out of the breakup. I never did shit by myself when I was in my prior relationship. Like I was always with him because I had to depend on him to get me to X, Y, and Z because I didn't know how to drive and I didn't have a car. And once I got out of the relationship, the first thing I did was learn how to drive and have that independence. And once I did that, I was able to overcome that fear of driving, step outside of my comfort zone, and gain a newfound independence and prove to myself that I can do it. And now this is just another thing like driving. I'm traveling abroad for the first time. And I'm going to learn so much about myself, just like I did when I got my driver's license. I'm going to learn so much about my limits, my boundaries, who I am as a person, and that I can prove to myself that I can do the things that scare me and that I am going to be okay. I am more than capable in doing it. And I think that's what I'm most excited about. I think the hyper independence that I'm going to get from this trip and unlock this newer version of me is something that I'm really looking forward to. But how do I feel right now? It all comes down to this feeling of I know the Spain trip will change my life. I don't know how, I don't know when in the trip this moment will be, but I just have this overwhelming feeling that this trip will be so monumental for me and it will change my life. I don't know on what type of trajectory it will change my life, but like you know that feeling, right? When you know you're about to do something that is really, really scary and you're taking that risk, but you know deep down it's going to pay off and that it will change your life. I've had that feeling a couple of times in my life. Definitely more recent, I've had them come up a couple of times. But for this trip in particular, I don't know how and I don't know when, but I do know that this trip will change my life. And I have a feeling it's going to be about me learning so much more about myself. And it's going to unlock this whole new perspective and outlook on life and how I view myself. And I'm really excited for that because right now, at this very moment while I'm recording it, I feel like I know every bit of Amanda. But by going on this trip, it's going to unlock all these new lessons and thoughts and emotions that have never been unleashed. It's like a little like it's like Pandora's box, right? When you unlock it, like shit comes out of it. Like that's how I feel. Like I feel like this is just another like I guess like box within me that emotions are going to come out, perspectives are going to come out, and I'm going to learn so much about life and about myself. And I just know that this trip will change my life. And I'm so excited to bring you guys along on the journey with me. I just feel like it's this really special moment in my life where so many things have come together to line up at the right exact time, at the right exact moment where this opportunity to happen and flourish the way that it has and that it will. And I'm just really excited for it. I'm really anxious. I'm really scared and I'm really nervous. But I'm really looking forward to what I'm going to learn about myself and about life and about a different culture. And I'm just really excited for my future. And I know this episode was a little bit of everywhere, but I think the biggest thing to come out of it is you can do whatever you set your mind to. And even when it's really scary, do it anyway. Because it's within the fear that we learn the most about ourselves. It's within stepping outside of our comfort zone that we know our limits and that we know our boundaries and that we test them and we challenge ourselves. And I think that's exactly what I'm doing on this trip. And I'm just really excited to see what's going to come of it. And that is your tea time sesh for today, Radiant Icons. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know it was a little bit everywhere. I know that. But you know what? That's how my brain is before this trip to Spain. I am feeling every emotion under the sun that I didn't even know was humanly possible. And I used to be an actress. So, that's saying something. I am so excited to share this journey with you guys, this whole entire trip, because I truly feel like I'm going to learn so much about myself, about life, and I know it's going to change my life. I really, truly, genuinely do. And the world is feeling magical and shiny again, and it hasn't felt like that in a while. And I am so beyond excited to update you guys in real time. So make sure to follow me on socials because you definitely do not want to miss this trip. It's going to be chaotic, unhinged. We truly are living our iconic girl summer. And this is a trip I will never forget and you will never forget because it's going to be documented on the internet. So you definitely won't forget it. Neither will I. Digital footprint, everyone. But anyway, if you like today's episode, make sure to leave a review, leave a rating, share it on social. Okay, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. So that's right, we are taking a 2-week break while I am in Spain. So I will see you guys the first week of July for the tea time sesh you guys will be waiting for, which is my entire Spain trip with all the juicy little secrets. So I'll see you guys in 2 weeks on this podcast. But if you miss me that much, make sure to connect with me on socials so you can see everything happen in real time. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Remember, Radiant Icons, dare to be iconic. Bye.